Mike, Andy Reid's got 9 lives. This guy, every time you think he's dead, he just seems to come back again. He's the comeback king here. This latest comeback.
He's very feline in other ways, too.
Oh, yes. Does Deshaun Jackson leap the other day?
Oh, very, very
He was
smooth.
afraid he was going to rip an Achilles, I heard.
Very smooth.
The Eagles are in a great position right now, and it was after they beat the Giants. Of course, Dallas another backslide in December. But, Mike, let me ask you, your thoughts on Andy Reid and what he's able to do with this team. Just when you think they're dead, they're back.
Well, Andy Reid has been in our lives here for like a decade, and I still can't figure out what to make of this dude. I mean, there's so many things that you watch the Eagles play, and you think, what are they doing? Why aren't they doing this? And all of a sudden, they're 9-4, and they're doing a lot of the things that we couldn't understand why they weren't doing 2 months ago, and they're in pretty good shape. They really are in pretty good shape heading into the last 3 weeks of the season. I like so many things that I saw offensively in the game with the Giants on Sunday night. The fact that they're using the fullback.
Yeah.
The fact that they're using Michael Vick in the right way, I think. And that has made them better in the red zone. Yeah. The fact that they're doing some no-huddle stuff now, which they seem ideally suited to, and you want to keep those defensive position groups off the field. The fact that I love McNabb's just body language and the way it seems like he's approaching it now. I think he really might be at the point of his life where all the weirdness and all the personal stuff and all the ego stuff is kind of pushed aside, and hey, all I want to do is win one of these deals before I'm done playing. So there's a lot to like about the Eagles right now. And as I constantly tell our buddy Rupee, it might be completely different 3 weeks from now, but right now there's a lot to like.
One of my favorite players in the Eagles, he's really been growing on me, is Leonard Weaver, the fullback you mentioned.
Absolutely.
He's well-spoken. They need to give him a long-term contract. He's on a 1-year deal. There's my little shout-out for Leonard.
Pretty good media dude.
He really seemed to be, but he had a great quote last week. He said, it may seem like Andy doesn't have a plan, but he always does. And, he was wondering about...
we'll take your word for it.
He was wondering about his role earlier in the year, too, and now he's in there. They're using the big fullback, running back, whatever you want to call Leonard Weaver. But we were saying earlier about Michael Vick, I wonder if Andy Reid didn't have this part of his plan all along and didn't want to show his hand too much. You do play these teams twice a year. He didn't want to show these guys the whole playbook early on. Build up to it when you really need these games down the stretch. Because the way he's using Vick on some of these rollouts, some of these runs, it's excellent.
It's possible that you're right. It's possible that you're right.
Every now and then.
It's just hard for me to believe that he's that calculating. I don't know. It just
he's like a fox.
Maybe he like a very portly fox, but a fox nevertheless. But I don't know. But I know that. And I almost feel like the Giants game defensively, they kind of got caught up in a shootout. I mean, their defense was not very good. There's no question about that. And but I'm not sure that I think that the defense is as much of a disaster as it may have seemed to be in that game.
Exactly. I think yes, they tackled poorly. Andy Reid says they're going to pull out mats. They're going to practice tackling. Good for him. I think a lot of these weren't dumb mistakes or they're bad secondary. I think a lot of this is correctable. I think it's guys that are just coming off of injury and off of suspension. Hanson was on a suspension.
They've had a lot of that kind of stuff.
Hakeem Jordan just back in there.
They really have. They really have.
So you get these guys to sort of mesh and play well together. That defense could come along down the stretch. Now let me ask you 2 more things real quick. Deshaun Jackson, how good is this dude?
He's very, very good. He's one of those guys who is not just fast point A to point B, but fast doing this stuff. And he's just a great athlete. If you ever see him up close, I mean, the first time I saw him when I was down at one of their practices, he's just a really little dude, slightly built dude, but a heck of an athlete and a great, great weapon.
Last question. Are the Eagles in the driver's seat?
I still got to say the Saints are in the driver's seat in the NFC, but I think they're in the back seat and they're tapping the Saints on the shoulder saying, "Can I drive?" And the Saints are saying no, but maybe we're going to fight about that.